The Hunger Games. We know what they are, but where did they come from? Every year, on the 4th of July, one boy and one girl between the ages of 12 and 18 were selected from each of the 12 districts as tribute by a lottery. They would be taken to the capital, where there would be a week of festivities and training, after which they'd be sent into an arena to fight to the death. The event was televised nationally, and it was mandatory viewing for all citizens, and the competition could last several days or even weeks. The last living tribute was showered in gifts, and they lived the rest of their life in luxury and privilege, and they would be given a house in the victor's village. The winning districts would also receive parcels of food from the capital for a year in return as a reward for producing a winner. The Hunger Games were the creation of Casca Highbottom, but also indirectly by Crassius Snow and Dr. Volmina Ghoul. During Highbottom and Snow's final days at their university, she served as a professor there and assigned her class a final project to create a punishment for one's enemies so extreme they would never be allowed to forget how they had wronged them. Being best friends, Highbottom and Snow paired up for this project. Highbottom, having a mind for puzzles, began brainstorming the Hunger Games, something which Snow assured him was just a private joke between the two of them. Highbottom, however, was drunk, and Snow continued to ply him with alcohol, playing on his vanity as he fleshed out the project. Snow then turned the project in to Dr. Ghoul, while Highbottom was sleeping off the alcohol. He woke up horrified at what had happened, and he ripped it all to shreds. Ghoul held on to the project, and then after the war, she pulled out the proposal and introduced Highbottom as the architect of the games. Dr. Ghoul saw the games as a way to demonstrate how Pan Am would fall into anarchy without the capital to uphold order. She chose children to participate in order to prove that even the most innocent individuals could become lethal killers. Highbottom thought the idea would run out quickly, being so horrific, but Ghoul took it and ran. The original Hunger Games were particularly brutal in their cruelty. The event was seen as nothing more than punishing the districts. The tributes arrived at the capital in cattle cars, and upon arrival they were kept in the stables that housed the peacekeepers' horses. Then, the next day, they'd be thrown into the capital arena. They'd be chained in the cattle cars before entering the arena. But in the 10th Hunger Games, they were actually kept in the capital zoo, not in the stables. Here, however, they were underfed or even starved, and they were often mistreated by the peacekeepers. In the 10th Games, however, some of the tributes actually died before even making it to the arena. The first 10 instalments of the games were held in the capital arena, an old stadium converted into a fighting area. Basic weapons were provided, but other basics such as food and supplies were not. Tributes were then left to either kill each other or starve until one survivor remained. The winners of the first games were not rewarded, given any special treatment at all. They were simply returned home and told to just carry on living life that they had before. The brutality of these games actually discouraged the people in the districts from watching them unless they had a personal connection to one of the tributes. Even capital citizens began questioning the necessity for these games and whether it was really viable to actually continue with them. To counter this, the game makers started looking for ways to make it more attractive and more popular among the capital citizens. They wanted to get higher public interest but also approval. A number of changes were implemented during the 10th Hunger Games, such as mentors, interviews, betting and sponsorship. This marked the point at which the games stopped being a brutal form of punishment alone and edged over into a form of entertainment. In the 74th Hunger Games, Katniss and Peter became the first ever joint winners after threatening suicide. This inspired rebellion in the districts, and the unrest grew into uprisings. Eventually, a rebel plot interrupted the 75th Hunger Games, rendering it the first ever games to end without a victor, and it then marked the beginning of the Second Rebellion. After the invasion of the capital and President Snow being overthrown, the interim government discussed a potential 76th Hunger Games using the children from the capital. It was narrowly approved by the remaining Hunger Games victors, but it was never held due to the deaths of both interim President Coyne and deposed President Snow. Following an emergency election, Commander Paylor ascended to presidency. The Hunger Games were abolished and the former arenas were demolished and replaced by memorials. And that is, in short, the history of the Hunger Games. I find the Hunger Games such an interesting book, an interesting movie as well. There's so much that we can unpack and there's so much to look at. So do stay tuned for more videos like this. I think that the Hunger Games were obviously absolutely brutal. They were awful and they evolved into just entertainment, as I said. They evolved into sport with the betting, and obviously it was forgotten that these were people's lives. People's children and loved ones were going into this. The fact that they then wanted to turn the tables, or some of them wanted to turn the tables and do the same to the capital children. Was that right or was that wrong? Two wrongs don't make a right, as they say. Anyway, let me know what you think, guys. Should they have continued the Hunger Games with the capital children? Let me know. Anyway, leave a like if you like the video, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, you take care.